My name is Izzy Martin. I'm the CEO of the CR Fund. I'd like to thank the Water Board for this opportunity to speak, for your patience and grace as we exercise democracy in public, about which I am quite excited to be part of this opportunity to rule make in public. This is a public workshop to solicit input on actions to protect water quality from suction dredge mining. It's really not a rulemaking procedure about how to remove mercury from water or other things. The CR Fund has spent more than 10 years trying to figure out what to do about the mercury problem in our state. We've done a lot of different sorts of activities to address that. Before I speak to the rulemaking, I would like to clarify some misinformation that I've heard presented here, and I've also seen at the other hearings. I'd like to clarify for you, first, what I've been hearing. The myth is the Sierra Fund has got millions of dollars and stands to make more by dredging Combie Reservoir, just like suction dredge miners want to do for free. This isn't true. The fact is, the Sierra Fund has never done a moment of dredging. We have no dredging equipment. We are working with the Nevada Irrigation District, which is a government agency with the board elected by the people of our county and of Placer County, who have gone through the California Environmental Quality Act review and have obtained a Clean Water Act permit to remove sediment from the Combie Reservoir, treat that sediment and water discharge to remove mercury and return clean water to the reservoir. They have not yet begun this project. They haven't put the suction dredge into the reservoir, not one time, not dozens of times, never. So all of that is just wrong. They have done a lot of work out of the water body in order to monitor their work. We have helped with some of the monitoring, and we've also done some outreach to the public about this project, funded by a small grant from the Department of Water Resources and a small grant from the Sierra Nevada Conservancy. More facts. Funding to allow this program has now moved forward. The Nevada Irrigation District has spent more than 10 years developing the protocol, the method, and process for removing sediment, treating it to remove the mercury, treating the water discharge, the turbid discharge that comes from all suction dredge mining activities. The Water Board required that they get a Water Board permit, just like the one we're discussing today. It's the same exact rules. We're not having special rules. The Nevada Irrigation District, again, not the Sierra Fund. We're not doing this. Our duly elected Board of Nevada Irrigation District has authorized the moving forward of this program under the Clean Water Act. It has attracted such attention because this technology and process has the opportunity to restore operational capacity of their Combie Reservoir so that there's more water storage. And as a result of our activities, at least our monitoring activities, we're able to demonstrate with science the impact of this technology on water quality, returning clean water to the reservoir. Department of Water Resources is interested enough in this technology that they have now authorized a budget. The governor has put in his budget a budget change proposal for $6 million to go ahead and deploy this technology with the same exact water quality permit that you guys are being asked to get, to see if we can use this new technology to speak to Mr. Ramirez's issue about his heart. We do want to remove mercury from the reservoirs. We do think that's a good place to do it, as opposed to sucking it out of streams. So that's what's really going on. Sierra Fund hasn't made millions. I'm not a millionaire. We have not, but none of that is actually true. The fact is, we've been doing some monitoring and some public outreach on this little project of our irrigation district. Clarification number 2, there's this myth that there isn't any place to dispose of mercury. And then the information that you saw Dr. Monahan saying earlier today, which was a partially true statement, not the whole statement didn't actually get understood, says the program to collect mercury was so successful, but it was stopped. That's not actually true. In the year 2000, the State Water Resources Control Board conducted a pilot project to collect mercury, which at that time was not allowed to be collected at hazardous waste disposal facilities. I was on the board of supervisors in Nevada County at the time. Our county said, okay, let's see if this works. Let's see if there's a demand for mercury disposal opportunity. We didn't know how much there was out there. So I stood in the parking lot with the State Water Resources Control Board, and all day long we accepted mercury. Mostly not from section dredge miners, mostly from people whose uncle had left it in their garden shed, or they had found it when they moved into an old house. The test project was incredibly successful. We collected 400 pounds, not just in Nevada County, but using a couple of different techniques. And that showed that there really was a need to dispose of mercury. So heads up, everybody, what you've been hearing, that there's no place to dispose of mercury, is wrong. That's a myth. The fact is, any hazardous household waste collection facility in the state of California can accept your mercury. Right now. We don't need any special program. We already went through that step. That was what the step was. Is there a problem? Yes, there's a problem. There's a lot of mercury to collect. Let's collect it. So, there's some other misinformation I've heard here. I would rather not go into those, but I wanted to make sure y'all understood those two basic facts. Now, the Sierra Fund has been concerned about suction dredge mining for about 10 years. And we have been concerned about it because, as you heard earlier, our mission is to protect and restore the natural resources of the Sierra. And we've been concerned about the environmental impacts of suction dredge mining and the kinds of things that we see along the river while suction dredge miners are there and then when they leave. But looking into the suction dredge mining was something that was done by a group of scientists, lots of scientists, as part of the Department of Fish and Wildlife's California Environmental Quality Act Supplemental Environmental Impact Report. And that Supplemental Impact Report found significant impacts from suction dredge mining on Native American cultural resources, historical resources, aquatic creatures, public health, noise, wildlife, and water quality. As part of that review, the State Water Resources Control Board wrote a letter to the Department of Fish and Wildlife as part of the Environmental Impact Report and said, we consider the no program alternative to be the alternative that is best supported by scientific information regarding water quality impacts related to remobilizing mercury. The no program alternative, a continuation of the current suction dredge moratorium, would provide the best water quality protection. So they concluded that if the Department of Fish and Game's, at that time, proposed program is implemented, the Water Board would likely need to both embark on a costly program to develop a permit to address mercury discharge from suction dredge miners and to set up a, probably read it easier up there, scarce resources to ensure compliance with permit conditions through inspections and enforcement. And in their letter, they concluded that this was such a small scale activity and had such minor economic impacts that it was not worth the expense. Then, a couple of years after that moratorium was passed, the environmental impact review was done, the legislature said to the Water Board and all of the other public agencies, we want the Department of Fish and Wildlife to consult with every governmental regulatory agency with authority over the water quality, public health, Native American, historic, cultural, noise, and that whole list of impacts you saw. Fish and Wildlife said, okay, tell us how you would regulate these impacts. And the Water Board said, okay, we'll tell you. The State Water Resources Control Board comments submitted in response to this legislative mandate said, on the water quality impact of recreational suction dredge mining, we concur that the existing moratorium we recommend that the existing moratorium be continued indefinitely, or that this activity be permanently prohibited. Given the current scientific understanding of the activity's impacts, this is the only way and the most cost-effective method to fully mitigate the significant water quality impacts. First of all, I'd like to agree with Mr. Watkinson's call for 90 more days of comment. I think that's absolutely great. Let's spend the time that the Water Board needs to hear from everybody that has a concern about this program. So we concur and agree. We also concur with the comments made by the State Water Resources Control Board in their last two opportunities to comment. Now, these are experts. They actually are water quality scientists. They didn't just Google something today while they're sitting in the back of the room. I'd like to point out that SB 637 does not require the Water Board to issue a specialized waste-to-charge permit designed only for suction dredge mining. It says you have the right to examine this and prohibit it if it creates water quality impacts. But when we were being grilled a little while ago about whether we oppose suction dredge mining, we did not raise our hands over there at the Sierra Fund. We do believe that suction dredge mining can be permitted in the state of California. Now, you guys are very clear, and you've said it here repeatedly. You're not small scale, you're just miners. You're miners. Suction dredge mining could be regulated under the Surface Mining Act of California. Testimony today, and by surveys of suction dredge miners regarding their activities has revealed, and of course review of literature identifying how much material dredges move in a season. You just go on the websites of the people that sell the dredges and you calculate how much material moves through. Now, the Surface Mining Act has a threshold. You can measure how much impact is on these lands by looking at their holes in the rivers after the end of the season. Over the life of a claim, dredgers likely disturb more than 1,000 cubic yards. This isn't an annual requirement, this is the lifetime of the claim. If you move more than 1,000 cubic yards, you meet the threshold for Surface Mining Act regulation. Suction dredge miners can get a SMARL permit for your mining activities. This will allow appropriate CEQA review, including getting the water quality permit that this legislation discusses. The Sierra Fund will submit written testimony outlining these and other points by February 28th. Thank you very much, Water Board, for this opportunity to present.